a Skunky coming at you from out of your screens. So today I was going to make a real quick video, slightly random one, just because I've been out and had to buy 2 new guitar cords or cables or leads, or whatever you want to call them. And previously, being into audio, especially in-car audio and home audio, there's always huge debates about does speaker wire and connections like RCA leads and stuff like that for in-car, do they really improve quality, and or can you just use cheap ones? And it's the same for HDMI cables. Some places, I think they did a test on Mythbusters where they used like a £10 cable versus a £100 cable and HDMI, and they cut them open and all sorts, you get the oxygen free ones and all sorts of shit like this, and they basically had this test bench, and they came up to the conclusion that there really is no noticeable quality in that sense. But then in car you've got like pure copper cables or copper clad aluminium, and like that CCA is usually like referred to as shit. So I always used pure copper, and the RCAs, I didn't go cheap, but I didn't go well expensive. I know some dudes that were making their own audio speaker wire out of strands of silver and fucking unicorn hair and shit. I think it mainly comes down to, like, my personal views on it are, if you've got like in your car a really good radio and a really good amp and a really good set of speakers, but shit wiring connecting them all up, then that's the weak link. The wiring is the weak link, and you're not going to be getting the most out of your components because the wire is so shit. And it works for everything else. If you've got a really cheap head unit and a really cheap amp, but the best speakers in the world, they are never going to sound good, because you've got to have every component that you're using to get a great overall sound. Otherwise, you have one thing that's of a lesser quality and it's going to bring the whole system down, and it ain't going to work. So I don't know whether it's the same for guitars, really. I've never actually done much looking into it, but and I always wonder whether it's like almost a placebo effect as well. I wondered whether you could have the world's best guitar, the world's best amp, and that's all you've got, and you plug your guitar into the amp via a really cheap, like £10 or even less. I've seen guitar cords for like £3 or so in the UK. I always wondered whether that cable will, hinder your equipment. So it's open for discussion. But what I found was, I'm using very low-end equipment in the general scheme of things. It's an LTD, an ESP LTD EX50, and it's just, I plugged that straight into my Line 6 Spider 3 solid state amp. It's 75 watt one, so I mean I think it's okay for what it is, but it's definitely not the best sound quality. And neither are the pickups in this guitar. The neck one is way too muddy, but that's a whole different story. So anyway, I have 2 guitar cables, and I've never really paid attention. I've always just gone to a shop and just bought one when I've needed it, and they always last like a year or less before they just die on me. So today I went out, and one of my guitar cables broke, and it was the more expensive one of the 2 as well, and it lasted about, it would be 9 months now that's lasted, which ain't great considering I only ever play in my bedroom and it's never left the house, so it's not been on the road or wrapped up tightly around anything, so I was pretty pissed about that. But anyway, I went into my local guitar store, Digital Village, and I picked up 2 of these. I figured I may as well just buy 2 new ones, and then I can keep the other one that I had for a spare, because it came free with the EX50, so I didn't expect that cable to be great. And it's noisy. If you plug it into your guitar and into the amp and then move it around, it crackles. You know, you hear crackling coming out the amp, so I already know. I mean, that's just a really cheap, if both of these happen to break, kind of thing. It's really stormy here. It's been stormy for the last couple of days. It's just like started pissing it down now. It's fucking horrible, man. Like, I'm here in London's East End, and it's just fucking muggy. Like, the heat in London and the heat in England in general, like the weather here is fucking bollocks. So anyway, on this cable, it's a cool deal, made in Germany, guitar cord, and it has Nutric connectors on each end. Apparently they are quite good. From what I've done a little bit of reading, the guy in the store said that they're good and it's a good guitar cord. It's made in Germany and it's got Nutric connectors on. That's why I bought it. I figured that, and it was only £9 as well for a 3-meter cable. So I got two because I usually run one of my guitars through an octave pedal. So I figured I may as well just buy two of the same cable and hopefully they'll last me. But I plugged this in and I had a little jam with it earlier, and whether or not it was just me hearing things because I had a new cable and I wanted to see whether or not it was actually going to make any difference or not, I don't know. But I am almost certain that the sound of my guitar, it just sounded more rich and detailed and full, you know? It wasn't like, I don't know really, I didn't jam enough to play around with tones and stuff to see whether or not it made it any, you know, brighter or and it just sounded, the whole sound though, overall it just sounded much more rich and full, you know. It just sounded, to me, like the guitar just sounded better, much more detailed, and there was no noise as well with these cables, like, you know, so silent. And where the other ones, usually you might hear some crackling or when you twist it, these are just silent, they're awesome. So my new favourite cable of choice, and available in a few colours. I think black, red, green and blue are the ones I saw there. I just picked green up because I had two green ones there in 3 meters. So that's what I got. Anyway, I just thought I'd put this video up there and just sharing my views. And yeah, anyway, that's what I'm using, so see you later.